Hey broskies, and welcome back to another video. Last video we went over squirrel flight and leaf pool's genetics and what they would look like. So now we're going to work toward Hollyleaf, Jayfeather, and Lionblaze. And for those of you still reading The Power of Three, please finish the series before you watch this. I'm begging you. It will be spoiled if you keep watching. So please finish the books. I don't want to be the one that spoils it for you. So click off. I'm giving you time. Please. Okay, so for those of us who have finished the series, we know that Leafpool and Crowfeather are the parents of the trio. However, Crowfeather has a line to trace back, so we're going to start from the beginning. So I have created this handy dandy family tree to look at. At the bottom of this family tree is Crowfeather. His mother is Ashfoot and his father is Deadfoot. And Deadfoot does have two parents. Ashfoot also has two parents, and her parents also have parents. So we're going to have to start with Ashfoot's side just because it's a bit longer. And we'll get all the way down to Ashfoot today, and then for the next video I will work on Deadfoot's parents, and we will get all the way to Crowfeather. I'm going to try to go a little bit quicker through Ashfoot's family, just because we don't really know much about them, so maybe we don't care as much about what they look like. Of course, I'm still going to retain accuracy on their genetic makeup. So we're going to start with Ashfoot's grandparents on her father's side, so Stagleap's parents. His parents are Miss Mouse and Hairflight. Miss Mouse is described as a light brown tabby, and Hairflight is also described as a light brown. Since neither are orange, Miss Mouse would be XX and Hairflight would be XY, both having a base color of black. Since they're both light brown, their locus B would be B'. Since we know from the previous video, B' is recessive. So the only way for light brown to show is if both alleles are B'. Neither of them have white, so they would be big S for their locus W. And their locus D, we know that they aren't dilute, so we can at least get rid of little d. And as long as they have that one big D, it doesn't matter what the second allele is because it won't show dilute. So we all know I'm going to choose little d for the second allele, just so they have the ability to pass on those genes. So their locus D would be big D, little d. Just a tangent here. For this video, I'm only going to be mentioning the offspring that are relevant to the line that gets to Crowfeather. I know a lot of these pairings have more than one offspring, but I'm only going to talk about the most important ones because I don't have the time to draw that many cats, and if I did, they'd start looking something like this. So we're just going to go with the main offspring that are important to Crowfeather's line. So piggybacking off of that, Stagleap is the son of Hairflight and Miss Mouse and the father of Ashfoot. He is described as being dark brown in the books, so we know that he would get an X from his mother and a Y from his father, the X giving him a base color of black, so he would look something like this. We also know that both of his parents are B', so he would get B', which would make him light brown. Both parents are big S, so he would also get big S or no white. So that just leaves the locus D. In this case, Stagleap would have a chance to be big D, big D, little d, or little d. We know that Stagleap is not showing any dilute in the books, so we can go ahead and get rid of that little d. And we all know I'm going to choose big D, little d to pass on that gene if we need to. So now that we got Stagleap down, we're going to look at his mate and her parents. The name of his mate is Wrenflight, and her parents are Palebird and Woollytail. Palebird is described as black and white in the books, and Woollytail is described as gray and white. In this case, Palebird would have XX, which would give her a black base coat. And since she's actually black, her locus B would be big B, and her second allele could either be big B, little b, or B', and we will decide this later on. Her locus W would be big S, little s, since she has some white, and again, she could either be big D, little d, or big D, and we all know what I'm going to choose. Big D, little d. Woollytail is similar to Palebird, but a bit more interesting since he has some gray. We know that his X would be a base color black since he is not orange, and his locus W would be big S, little s, since he has some white. Him being described as gray, we know that he would have little d, because he is dilute. The most complicated part of him would be choosing what his locus B would be. However, we can just look at this dilution chart and pick the closest shade of locus D to what gray would be. In this case, since he's described as gray and not light gray, we will go ahead and give him the locus B, big B, and the second allele, it doesn't matter again since he shows the gray and not any other color, so we will decide that later when we look at Wrenflight. Before looking at Renflight, let's just look at a quick breakdown of Woollytail and Palebird. Woollytail, again, is XY with a base coat of black. He has big B, and we haven't decided what his second B allele will be. His dilution locus is little d, and his locus W is big S, little s. Palebird is XX with a black base coat. She is also big B, and her second locus B allele has yet to be decided. Her dilution locus is big D, and her locus W is big S, little s. So their offspring, Renflight, is described as a brown she-cat. Based on her parents' genetics, she would have a black base coat, so she would look something like this. We also know that both of her parents are big S, little s for the W locus. So looking at a quick Punnett square, we know that she would have a 25% chance of being big S, a 25% chance of being little s, and a 50% chance of being big S, little s. In this case, we would want her to be big S, since in the books she doesn't show to have any white. We also know that she is not dilute, and her parents give her a 50% chance of being big D and a 50% chance of being little d, so we will go ahead and give her the big D, just so she does not show dilute. As for her locus B, we know both her parents at least have one allele being big B. However, if big B was passed on to her, she would show as black. So we want her to have at least one little b allele to show brown. And luckily for us, since both of her parents have undecided second alleles, we can kind of pick and choose whatever alleles we want there. One of them, of course, we would want to be little b. And the other allele does not matter as much, since if it's also little b, she will still show brown, and if it's b prime, the brown or little b will overshine that b prime. So let's go ahead and go back to her parents, and we can give Woollytail little b, and we can give Palebird b prime. And here's a quick Punnett square of what the cross would look like. Of course, we will be choosing little b prime for Renflight and her locus b, and this would actually make her look like her canonical self, which is great. So now we have the completed genetics of Stagleap and Renflight, who are Ashfoot's parents. Now remember, Ashfoot is Crowfeather's mother, so we are getting closer. Now in the books, Ashfoot is described as gray, so let's see how close we can get. Just a quick recap. Stagleap is XY with a base color of black. He is also B prime for his locus B, big S for his locus W, and big D for his locus D. And Renflight is XX with a base color of black, little B prime for her locus B, big S for her locus W, and big D for her locus D. Ashfoot, of course, would be XX, having a base color of black. And since both her parents are big S, she would also be big S for her locus W. So she would look something like this. And then as for her locus B, we can go ahead and cross Stagleap with Renflight's alleles. And we can see that she would have a 50% chance of being little b prime and a 50% chance of being B prime. We'll get back to this in just a moment. First, we're going to cross the parents' dilute genes, and in this case, she would have a 25% chance of being big D, 25% chance of being little d, and a 50% chance of being big D. Since she's described as gray, we know that she would be little d, so she can express that dilute gene. So now that we know that she has that dilute gene, let's go ahead and look at the chart with just the two options that she has for her locus B, and that would be little b prime and B prime. Now in this case, she doesn't have the option for gray, because remember, gray would be if she had at least one big B allele, and she doesn't. So we either have the light gray option or the fawn option, and of course we're going to choose the light gray option since that's the closest to gray. So that would mean that she would be little b prime. So she would look something like this. And let's go ahead and recap what we've learned so far. On Ashfoot's father's side, we have Mistmouse, who is XX, and Hairflight, who is XY. Their locus B is both B prime. They also have the same locus W of big S, and we decided both of their locus D would be big D since they're not dilute. Stagleap, their offspring, though he is described as a dark brown, he would end up getting a X from his mother and a Y from his father, making his base color black. And since both his parents, locus B, have B prime, he would also get B prime, which would make him light brown. His locus W would be big S, making him have no white, and his dilute gene we decided would also be big D. Moving to Ashfoot's mother's side, her parents are Woollytail and Palebird. Palebird is XX are having a base coat black. We also know that Palebird's locus B was Big B because she was black. However, her second allele for locus B we decided to be B prime since it didn't matter. Her locus D is Big D little d, and her locus W is Big S little s since she has some white. As for Woollytail, he is XY with a base color of black. His locus B is Big B little b since we wanted the little b to be passed on. We also know he is dilute, so he would be little d, and his locus W is Big S little s since he has some white. So for Renflight, she would get an X from her mother and an X from her father, making her base coat black. And for her locus B, we wanted to get her brown since that's her canonical coloring. And from her parents, we were able to give her little b, B prime for locus B, making her brown. And then for her locus D, we know she would be Big D, little d. And for her locus S, although she had the chance of being any set of alleles, we decided to give her Big S, since in the books, she doesn't have any white. So then we wanted to get to Ashfoot, and she is described as gray. She would get an X from her father and an X from her mother, making her base coat black. She would also have a 50% chance of being little b prime and a 50% chance of being B prime. We decided to go with little b prime. For her locus B, she has a 50% chance of being little b prime or B prime. So we decided to give her a little b prime to get as close to gray as possible. For her locus W, she would be Big S since both her parents have Big S. And for her locus D, we wanted her to be dilute, so she would be little d. So that would make her light brown with no white. And remember, this is Crowfeather's mother. And for the next video, we will have Crowfeather's father and his father's parents. And then we will hopefully be able to finally get to Crowfeather and see what the trio would look like. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, leave a like. And if you didn't, that's totally fair. See ya.